say hi. Thanks a lot. Good to see you, sir. So nice to meet you. Hello. Good to see you. It's a miracle I made it. Thank you, sir. I've reviewed so many, and like, every one of them was like, how the hell did I get selected? What were they thinking when they think this? It's exciting. Yeah, we might get this done. Yeah. I think there's more people here than my last shuttle launch.
You guys ready?
Test 1, 2.
Oh yeah, like 3 times in there.
Does somebody give me the go or just? Okay, good afternoon. Space exploration, whether it's to the International Space Station or return to the moon, onto Mars, and beyond, starts right here at the world's preeminent spaceport, the John F. Kennedy Space Center. So it's fitting to open the next chapter in our storied history of human spaceflight as we welcome the crew of NASA's SpaceX Crew-6 mission. NASA Commander Steve Bowen, NASA pilot Woody Holberg, UAE mission specialist Sultan Al-Niyadi, and Roscosmos mission specialist Andrei Fedyev. When the flight crew arrives at the Kennedy Space Center, it not only represents a major milestone in our schedule, signifying launch is less than a week away, but seeing these guys here is just such a very special moment for all of us who work here. It's why we work here, right? So the next few days here at the Kennedy Space Center will be a busy time as we prepare to launch Crew-6. Even now, teams are gathered at the agency flight readiness review to ensure we have everything in order for a safe and successful mission. It definitely takes a team to make this happen, and this mission is a great example of our successful partnership between government, industry, and our international partners. And NASA's shining illustration of all of this is our Commercial Crew Program. So I'd like to introduce someone who's been with the program since its beginning for over 10 years, the Deputy Program Manager of the Commercial Crew Program here at Kennedy Space Center. Please join me in welcoming Dana Hutcherson.
Welcome, and thank you for joining us here today. As Kelvin said, I'm Dana Hutcherson. I'm the Deputy Program Manager of NASA's Commercial Crew Program. It's amazing to realize that we are now on our 6th rotational mission and preparing for the 7th launch, sending astronauts to the International Space Station from U.S. soil. It is an honor to represent NASA's Commercial Crew Program in welcoming this international crew as I share in their anticipation and executing this mission for which they have been preparing for so diligently. Commercial Crew is succeeding in providing safe, reliable, and cost-effective transportation to a low Earth orbit. This crew will fly on Dragon Endeavour spacecraft provided by SpaceX. They will also see the growth in the Commercial Crew program when they will be at the space station to greet another team of astronauts aboard Boeing's Starliner for Boeing's crewed flight test. The success of these partnerships with commercial companies are allowing NASA to focus resources on exploration and research. This innovation expands NASA's ability to explore our universe and inspire the world. Now I invite Salam Almari, Director General, Mohammed bin Rashid Space Center, UAE, to say a few words.
Assalamu alaikum. Hello, good afternoon, everybody. It's an honor and pleasure to be here. My name is Salim Al-Marri. I'm the Director General of the Mohammed bin Rashid Space Center. First of all, I'd like to welcome the crew. Very good to see you here. I think I'm more excited than you. No? Okay, so, well, you must be more excited than me, but we're both equally excited, I think. And it's really great to see you here and to have one of our own, Sultan, who is a person that I've known for at least the last 6 years. I know he's very dedicated. I'm sure all of you are. And from what we've heard and what we've seen, this is going to be one hell of a mission. So good luck on that, and we wish you all the best. From a UAE perspective, this is honestly a very historic mission for us. So our program is quite new. We started in 2017. And for us to be the first non-ISS partner to go on a long-duration mission, for us to be the 10th or 11th country to go on a long-duration mission, that is not something that we take lightly. We have a big team of over 100 people working behind the scenes to make sure that everything that the UAE's part has to do with this mission is successful, as well as what Sultan and the team have to do together to make overall this expedition a success. So for us, we're very excited. Again, it's a historic mission. I believe we are ready. I know the crew is ready, and we wish you all the best and Godspeed. Thank you very much.
Now, I know you didn't come here to listen to us. Well, let me start with the crew introduction. So, Crew-6 Mission Commander Steve Bowen is one of those rare individuals on the planet who has explored the deepest depths of the oceans as a U.S. Navy submarine officer and then escaped the bounds of the Earth's atmosphere and lived in low Earth orbit, a veteran of 3 space shuttle missions who needs no further introduction, Steve Bowen.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's incredibly exciting to be here. This is really a huge milestone for the crew to come down here. We've completed our training. We have a few events before we have the opportunity to launch into space in the next week or so. And really, it's just incredibly exciting to be here. I think there's more of you here today than there was the last few shuttle launches I was on. So it's incredible to see the excitement growing and to still be a part of all of this. I've had the privilege over the past couple of years of training with an incredible crew. They are just the most amazing people, and it's just an incredible honor to be here. And we're really looking forward to our mission. It's going to be incredibly exciting. And I'm going to pass it on to Woody so he can introduce himself. And go ahead, Woody.
All right. Thanks, Steve. Yeah, as Steve said, it's super exciting to be here. When my class, the Turtles, showed up at NASA a little over 5 years ago, that was 3 years before Demo 2. So thinking about that, you know, it's amazing how far we've come in the Commercial Crew program. We weren't launching from Florida when I showed up at NASA, and now here we are on a beautiful day arriving in Florida. We just flew over our pad, and it's just such an exciting, special moment. Amazing crew. We have an amazing team throughout NASA and our industry partners supporting us, and it's just a real honor to be part of this crew. We know we have a lot of work ahead of us on the ISS, and we are excited and ready to get to work.
Hello, Sultan Al-Niyadi again. It's a great honor to be here today. It's actually a privilege, and as Salam mentioned, this is going to be a second mission to the UAE, but the first long duration. And it's hard to believe that this is really happening. And we only realized that when we fly by the launch pad and we saw the preparation going, it's becoming to to be real. So we can't thank enough everybody that helped in preparing us for this mission. We thank our families, our trainers throughout the agencies, and I thank my colleague, my teams. I think we have a great team. I can't thank for, I can't ask for more of a team. I think we are ready physically, mentally, and technically. And we can't wait to launch to space and conduct the mission. Thank you so much.
Всем добрый день. Меня зовут Андрей Федяев. И я бы хотел сказать следующее.
Good afternoon. My name is Andrei Fedyaev, and I would like to say a few words.
Собственно говоря, для каждого из нас это, в принципе, является первый полет для всех членов нашего экипажа.
This is the first flight for many of our crew members.
Для нас, для меня, для Вуди и для Султана это полет вообще первый космос, а для Стива это первый длительный полет.
This is the first for all of us. For myself, Woody and Sultan, this is the first space flight, and for Steve, it is going to be the first long-duration flight.
Ну и позади долгие дни, месяцы тренировок непосредственно к этому полету, поэтому осталось только сделать то, что нам нужно сделать. Поэтому всем большое спасибо, и я желаю нашему экипажу удачи. И вам тоже.
We have been training for months, for days now, and it's all behind us, and we are ready to fly, we're ready to go. We just have to do it now, and I would like to thank everyone, and good luck to our crew.
Thank you all again for being here. Thank you to Crew-6. I'm now going to start the media Q&A. There's a microphone on this side, and if you guys will line up, once you state your name and your affiliation, you can then point out who you would like to answer your question. I see someone already at the mic. You could take it away.
Thank you. Marcia Dunn, Associated Press for Dr. Anyadi. As the first UAE astronaut who's going to spend so much time in space, what customs or traditions from your homeland do you expect to observe in orbit, and any special things from your country that you're taking? Thank you.
Thanks so much. I think it's yet to be announced or maybe shown. I can't play all my cards at one time, but definitely we have a lot of stuff going on. I want to share probably some of the Emirati food that we have on board. I'm a jiu-jitsu practitioner. I trained doing jiu-jitsu, so I have a kimono that I'm gonna wear on board and probably do some moves. But overall, I think we share the same goal. We all train to go and conduct science. We all want to share this experience with everybody. I mean, spreading the enthusiasm with everybody, share the knowledge that we experience on board the station. It's the most important for all of us.
Welcome to Florida. I'm Jean Wright from Space Up Close, and my question is for Commander Bowen. Go Bruins. Anyway, as a former submariner wife, and you being the first submarine officer that was selected as an ASCAN, we both know the unique challenges in the small quarters that are on submarines. And with your all-rookie crew, I was curious if you had any tips or pointers how you survive being on submarines and plus being in a small capsule. Did you have any tips for them to survive being in such small quarters? Thank you.
You know, it's interesting. When I first got to the space station on my first flight, it very much reminded me of a submarine, which the close quarters, even the odor, not necessarily a good thing, was very submarine-like. And looking at what we're about to do, one of the big concerns that we have, or I have, with the capsule itself is making it stowed for sea. You know, keeping your vehicle cleaned up, ready to operate at all times. You don't have extra stuff floating around. So those skills we learn, obviously on a submarine, but also we train that at NASA. So I think over the years it's been really interesting to watch and see how they develop skills for people that don't necessarily bring them with them. They train them. So I feel highly confident, and if they have any questions, I'm sure they'll ask, and I'll make up some answer for them. But it's amazing how similar it is.
Thank you. Thank you.
Scott Heidler-Wesch to NBC Orlando, again for Commander Bowen. Earthly politics, is there a conscious effort throughout the training, the years of training, to keep that out of the mix? Are there rules, are there guidelines, or is it just kind of a natural part of the workflow and the camaraderie?
We're all professionals, and you focus on what you're doing, you focus on your training. It's like almost any other environment I've ever been up. It's rare that these issues come up in natural conversation. It's weird if they do anywhere. So, our professionalism, and we keep focused on the mission itself, and that's it's always been a great relationship we've had with the cosmonauts once we get to space. We're all in the same vehicle, we're all operating the same way, working toward the same goals. And, it's been amazing to watch.
Hi, Sarwit from the National. My question is for Stephen Bowen. If you could talk about what it's been like training with Sultan Al-Neyadi, being from different cultures. What did you learn from him and each other, and how do you think that's going to sort of translate on the ISS? And my second question is for Dr. Al-Neyadi. If you could talk about how you're feeling, but maybe speak in Arabic just for our Middle East viewers. Thank you.
Now, actually, I met Sultan and Hazza back in Star City when I was training for a Soyuz launch in 2018, about when we crossed paths, about 2018. Yep. So I had already met them, and I've always been impressed with the individuals and then the culture they bring to it as well. I'm incredibly excited to learn new cultures. When I first started training with the Russians 20 years ago, it's just exciting to me to see that and see what people bring to the conversations, and looking forward to operating with Sultan on orbit and having the opportunity to experience, actually through everybody's eyes, it's just so cool to watch people on orbit working. And Sultan?
Yep. So I'm going to speak in Arabic. I'm not going to play a joke with our interpreter. One time I spoke in Arabic and I looked at the Russian interpreter and they were confused. So I'll play both. أنا حقيقة سعيد باللحظة هذه. نحن انتظرناها طويلا بعد النجاح المميز للمهمة الأولى، مهمة طموح زايد، لما زميلي هزاع المنصوري راح محطة فضاء الدولية في 2019. كان مثل الدفعة القوية لبرنامج الإمارات للفضاء. حسينا وشعرنا بالحماس من شعب الإمارات ومن الوطن العربي، وكل هذا بفضل دعم القيادة الرشيدة اللي أهلتنا للقيام بهذه المهام. أنا سعيد اليوم بوجودي في هذا المكان التاريخي. طبعا هذا المكان انطلقت فيه أوائل الرحلات الفضائية، سواء كانت إلى الفضاء أو حتى أول إنسان هبط على القمر كان من هذا المكان. سعيدين بهذا الشرف أن نكون في هذا المكان المميز. داخليا أحس بالجاهزية، أنا وفريقي جاهزين لخوض غمار هذه المرحلة. نسأل الله التوفيق ودعواتكم لنا. So I'll just say exactly what I said in English. We're really happy to be here today in this historic place, the place where the first man who landed on the moon was flown from this place. It's a great honor, a great privilege. And after the very successful mission of the first UAE mission to the International Space Station in 2019, when my colleague Hazza al-Mansouri flew, everybody was happy, everybody was excited. We felt a boost in the space enthusiasm all over the region, specifically in the UAE. So this mission is a continuation. This time is going to be 6 months. We hope to conduct the mission with this awesome crew and come back with the aims or the goals that are planned for it. Thanks so much.
Busy spaceport. We did miss a little bit of what you said, but we do understand that you are grateful for being here, and this is a historic mission for you all. We do have about about 10 more minutes left for Q&A. If you still have questions for the crew, please step up to the mic on your right-hand side, and you can go ahead and ask your question.
Marcia Dunn, AP again for Dr. Anyadi. During your mission, you will have 2 Saudi astronauts joining you with the Axiom crew. That'll be the three from the Arab world on board at one time. How exciting, important is that for you? And could you give a little quick rundown on your Emirati menu in space? Thank you.
Well, I think it's going to be really exciting, really interesting. The first Arab astronaut ever was Prince Sultan bin Salman. He flew in '85, and then he was followed by a Syrian astronaut in '87, I believe. Hazza was the third. I'm going to be the fourth. And then having 2 additional guys meeting in space for the first time, I think it's going to be really interesting. Again, it's for the sake of science, for the sake of spreading the knowledge about how important it is to fly and to push the boundaries of exploration, not only in the leading countries. Our region is also thirsty to learn more. And I think we will be ambassadors in these missions. Hopefully we can come back with knowledge and share whatever we learn with everybody. And in terms of the food, I can only probably say dates. I love dates. I'm going to take dates. And hopefully I'm going to share dates with everybody, especially in Ramadan. This is a request from the commander, and I cannot say no to my commander.
Hi, Ken Kramer, Space Up Close. Following on that, good luck. I'm a scientist, so I'd like to ask each of you, could you please describe your top 1 or 2 science experiments you're gonna be doing on the ISS over the next 6 months? Thank you.
Let's see. How do I want to start? I'll start with the easy ones, which are the ones we're the subjects of. Part of being an astronaut. It's awesome to fly in space. It's awesome to be a part of the research and the science, but we're also the subjects as well. And so having that opportunity to contribute, what we learn about ourselves on orbit is really the most exciting thing. I think I tried to volunteer for every one of the projects that we could. They went back and they filtered out and they figured out what you can do on orbit. So I've got. Can't even remember all of them, but there's diet studies, there's blood studies, there's just an amazing number of genetic studies. So that's the exciting part, just being the subject and being able to contribute as well. So.
As Steve said, it's fun to be a subject in the scientific studies ourselves. I'll be eating a modified diet. I'll be eating more fish than usual and some extra lycopene and doing some research on diet in space. Aside from that, like Steve said, we are involved in hundreds of scientific research studies at any given time. One that I'm pretty excited about is we may, late in our mission, potentially, if we go outside EVA, we may actually do some sampling on the outside of the space station and start trying to characterize the any biologic samples that exist outside the space station that is relevant to our planetary protection mission that at NASA we take very seriously as we think forward to exploration. So just as we've been doing for over 20 years now, using the ISS as a platform to inform the engineering and operations on our future missions.
So during our preparation for the mission, we get to train on cutting-edge technologies. We are all trained to conduct a lot of science, and we'll be the hands, the eyes, the ears of the scientists who are working for years for a specific experiment. Some of the experiments are ongoing, some of them are ending soon, and some of them are just starting. So one very interesting experiment that I'm looking really to see is seeing the heart tissue beating in space. So this is something like a cutting-edge technology that one day we can, when we start 3D printing organs, this is really important to see how the structure is built in microgravity. So this can give us a really good insight how these tissues are built. So one of them is testing hard tissues. We have a lot of material science as well. We're going to test fluidics. We're going to test the materials and how they burn in space. And this is for the future missions when we go into the lunar surface again or going into another planet. So we need to test materials and how they react in microgravity and different atmospheres, let's say on Mars, for example. So a lot of excitement. I'm really excited to conduct a lot of science and communicate whatever we have back to the people on Earth.
На российском сегменте также наши эксперименты мало отличаются от тех, что проводят на американском сегменте. Также у нас, естественно, есть совместные эксперименты. Но в целом это такие же эксперименты, которые можно поделить там на несколько групп. Это эксперименты, которые изучают, как космос влияет на человека, как космос влияет на различные материалы, которые находятся в космосе, исследования Земли из космоса, исследования непосредственно космического пространства. Ну, вот основные такие направления.
Well, we have similar experiments on the Russian segment, and we also have joint experiments. And as I have already mentioned, we have more or less the same scientific program. And the experiments that we conduct on the Russian segment could be divided into several groups. Basically, we study how the space environment affects human beings, how it affects different materials in space, and also we do Earth studies and studies of the space itself. And this is more or less it.
Thank you.
Alrighty, we have time for about one more question. You can step up and ask the final question.
Okay. Scott Heidler, West 2, NBC Orlando. For Pilot Hobart, now that we're seeing the seventh Dragon crew capsule being used, the seventh time, I should say, do you get briefing notes or do you have conversations with the previous pilots? And is that specific to each capsule, or is that kind of general how they maneuver? In other words, like I would imagine that pilots for airplanes, they talk about this certain aircraft versus that certain aircraft.
Yeah, absolutely. That's been one of the coolest parts of all our training. Our capsule, Endeavour, this will be the fourth crewed flight of Endeavour. So Endeavour flew on Demo 2, flew on Crew 2, the Axiom 1 mission, and then will be the fourth crewed flight. But to get to your question, we have a chance to talk with previous crews that have flown Dragon, and it doesn't really matter which capsule we flew on. They're all operationally quite similar. And I think it's really interesting because, within the crew, we come up with our own, what we call CRM, crew resource management, and kind of figure out what works for us as a crew. And that's, myself and Steve, but then also Sultan and Andre are a huge part of that. So when we train, for example, emergencies out at Hawthorne, the whole crew, all four of us, come together to organize the capsule. And for example, if we're training for something like an emergency deorbit, everybody has a really big role in pulling that together. Each crew is slightly different in how we choose to manage that, but the conversations with previous NASA crews have been really informative for helping to establish that CRM and figure out what worked for previous crews.
Thank you, and that's going to conclude the Q&A portion for media. I will tell the crew, I want you guys to stick around for a photo op after this, and I'm going to turn it back over to the Deputy Director of the Kennedy Space Center, Kelvin Manning.
So again, thank you so much for joining us to welcome Crew-6, Steve, Woody, Sultan, and Andre. We look forward to a beautiful launch next week and a successful mission. So until then, we say, go NASA, go SpaceX, go Falcon 9, go Crew Dragon, and go Crew-6. Thank you.